Firsts with Michelle Aiden.
First love. But first, we're going to do the housekeeping because love is a battlefield and we're about to walk into a bloody battlefield like World War I. So you can find me on Instagram at Michelle Aiden. Note that I'm still reverting to my book of spells because I have no idea where I can find myself. On Facebook at Miss Aiden, YouTube Michelle Aiden FYI, and TikTok Michelle Aiden. So that was so simple. It was like an amputation. Quick, easy, over. This one's a tough one. I don't know if we're going to laugh as much. I don't think I'm going to laugh at all. I might actually cry. I'm wearing water-resistant mascara on the off chance that should happen. All right, Essence, it's cheap. It might not work. I remember seeing him for the first time like it was 2 minutes ago, not 24 years. Isn't it extraordinary? When you're 45, you cannot remember what happened last week, Tuesday. But I can remember this so vividly, like it was 2 minutes ago. If I concentrate hard enough, I can smell him in tears and easy listening. I was working in music retail at Look and Listen in between studying drama because you've got to make your own dosh. You've got to make a little bit of your own cash to prove to your parents you're not a complete loser. Getting paid a grand total of 10 Rand 15 an hour. I think that's still minimum wage. And that was 2000. We need to look into that. CCMA? Is it the Broadcasting Complaints Commission? I get them confused. Maybe it's the SPCA. In any case, our slogan was, "We know music backwards." And he'd been hired a few days before and he'd written this really elaborate test that we had to write to prove that we knew music backwards and forwards. So, question, who sang Whiter Shade of Pale? Do you know? It's Procol Harum. Who sang Nights in White Satin? It's the Moody Blues. Who are the members of Genesis? This is a trick question. Peter Gabriel, Phil Collins, Mike Rutherford, and Who Cares? Who are the members of Mike and the Mechanics? Mike Rutherford, Who Cares? Who are the members of the Doors? Jim Morrison, Who Cares? In any case, he'd passed the test, and there he was, a new employee. It was a Saturday, February, the year 2000, and his back was to me, 12 o'clock. Not the time, his relation to me in space, dead ahead. He was wearing this Prussian blue silk finished jacket with a white STP logo at the back. And around the sleeves and the waist and the neck was blue and red rib trim finish. Funny the shit that you will remember. He had this, what do they call it now? Like Taylor Swift has coined it, dirty, old money blonde hair. And he was wearing skater pants that were about 3 sizes too big for his slender frame. And I still have a picture somewhere of the sneakers he was wearing. It was Vans or Skechers, I forget now, in a burnt orange. Can't quite remember. But I don't have the picture here. Don't want to out him. There was something different about this human, and I hadn't even seen his face yet. My heart is racing like a mile a minute. What the fuck is happening? Who is this? What is this? I mean, new staff, they aren't an anomaly. This is a very cool place to work, but the turnover is high. The hours are harsh. The shop opens at 8 and closes at 10:30. And discipline isn't really a strong suit amongst young alternative people. And those of us that stay past 6 months, we're a die-hard motley crew. And we have the tags to prove it. He's probably just another fly-by-night wanting to live the Empire Records dream. Like, damn the man, Save the Empire. It's a 90s cult classic movie. I highly recommend you download it illegally and watch it. It's fantastic. A young Liv Tyler is in it, not speaking Elvish, but looking super hot. And that's where we worked. Look and Listen. And it was motherfucking epic. He turns around. And I swear it was like the earth stopped turning for like 15 to 20 seconds. I think it's what Van Gogh must have felt when he saw that starry, starry night, or what Michelangelo saw when he met the muse that would become David, the statue. He's a work of art. Now, look, I realize that beauty isn't all love is about. I realize it's not the standard of love. But to this day, I have never seen a more beautifully crafted face or form in my life. Not since then, and not now. And I actually felt like I couldn't breathe for a few seconds. He shares a nickname with an insect. That's all I'm going to say. He strides over and introduces himself, and he moves so slowly. It's like a glacier. And he sticks his hands out, and he takes mine, and my heart just breaks. And he's got a smile that hides so much, and he's got eyes the color of spring leaves just after the rain. And I just crack in two. And do you believe in love at first sight? Because a lot of people don't, but I can tell you it happens because I rode that lightning. And you ride lightning quick. My name means of God. And I thought he was spirit. But God loves all his creatures differently. And gods are highly intelligent. And when they hear a crack in the mountain, what runs out could be the blood of innocence, the milk of human kindness, the water of truth. And they may allow the crevice to open a little bit further until the river runs completely dry, until the sacrifice is complete. And the essence of love is the ultimate sacrifice. Ask Jesus if you believe that story. God turned away from him on the cross, do you remember? But not because he couldn't look at the sin, because he couldn't look at the love. I want you to think on that. Now, before I say anything bad about this boy, I want you to understand he's 21 years old, about to become 22. And I am 20, a few weeks away from being 21. Our brains are so underdeveloped that we actually can't even comprehend what we can't even comprehend, what we don't even know. So he'd also just come out of rehab for the second time for heroin abuse, and he's doing really well, which is a complete lie. But I told you, maybe I didn't tell you, I'm super naive and really stupid, and I just believe everything that comes out of his perfect pie hole of a mouth. The point I want to make is this immediate love that I have for him is just so complete. It's just complete. I just knew he was so far out of my galaxy. I was just happy being a dwarf planet or like a dead moon in his perfect orbit. So I was happy to be in the ultimate friend zone. Anything just to be helpful or fun or enjoyable to be around, so he'd stay close. And I knew that he was a one-way ticket to shit town. I knew that he was a large, expensive Birkin bag of consequences, no matter which road we went down. I didn't invite him to my 21st because I'd invited 180 people, and my dad was like, fuck no, not one more person. And he was such a sad panda about it. And my little heart was just bleeding custard for him. So I planned a really big party at my apartment in Arcadia, which was enormous. The apartments in Arcadia, back built in the 60s, were like houses. So I planned this really epic party just to make him happy. And I'm so stupid because he doesn't want to attend my party. He just wants booze and sex and drugs and girls. But I beg him to come, and he agrees. And he moves shifts around to be there. And here is where everything goes to shit. It's Tuesday, May 9th, 2000. That's how specifically I remember this. And it's a winter warmer drama and music people get together. Big fun time, always. Sex, drugs, and musical theatre. Because that's how it works when you study drama. And my intense lesbian roommates, my drama family, and my look and listen crew are all in attendance. We are a family. We've rented a VHS and a TV. Yes, we actually rented these things back in the day because we did not own them from Videoden. This is a very bizarre concept to anyone under the age of 35 listening or watching this. We had booze, we had snacks, which I think was like tomato sauce flavored knickknacks that we dipped in mayo. And we had other people handling other stuff, which was not really my scene. Almal het geweet wat fucking aangaan. All right. It was going to be a hoot nanny of all hoot nannies. And then the landline rings. Now, when I say landline, this is a phone that plugs into a wall. All right. It's like a device with like a whole bunch of buttons. Then you pick up a handle and hold it to your ear. This thing rings. And my very Afrikaans roommate answers. Hy's besig om in sy broek te kak. Hy kan nie vroeg afkry nie. I take the handle. That talks. You need to calm down. I understand this is out of the time zone, but we're going with the joke. When it's 10:30, when the store closes, I'll be there. I'll come fetch you. It was a different time. I wouldn't fetch anyone at 10:30 right now. Even my child, I would tell her to teleport. All right. He's whiny. He's such a whiny little bitch. The fun's gonna be over. Just calm down, Orestes. This is a song by Perfect Circle. Orestes is also the king of Sparta, who would go on to kill Clytemnestra. But it's a good enough pseudonym for these purposes. There are over 30 people coming, hun, and they're all only arriving around 10. Are you sure? I'm sure. And I would drive to hell for you. I never should have said that. I lach with my like jubel. It means something like jubilant in English. And he makes me jubilant. He could have asked my soul, and I probably would have carved it out for him. Heartache to heartache. Mishi, yeah, can I sleep over? Sure. It's a big apartment. There's places to crash. Okay, love you. He puts down the phone. I stand with this Telkom issue device. Yes, this is when Telkom still worked and existed. It's a hard thing to understand. We also still had power constantly. Tough thing to get your mind around. So I'm standing there with this device in my hand, trying to make sense of that statement that he just bombed me with. Was he back on the heroin? I mean, he'd just come out of rehab in January. I thought he was doing so well, but I try not to overthink it. I once said to my acting lecturer, who was Karl Trichard, if anyone knows who that man is, he was like Knashes and Bartnell, like super famous, old guard actor. I once said to him, I love you. But it was after a 36-hour rehearsal. So maybe he's just tired. We've all said things we don't mean when we're tired or, just not thinking. So I'm really trying not to overthink it as I'm making Thousand Island sauce, which is really just mixing chutney, tomato sauce, and mayo, which I think is disgusting now, thinking back. In the back of my mind, I just want it to be 10. I just want it to be 10. I just want it to be 10 o'clock so I can go and fetch him. That's all I want. And now I think someone else drove because I'd had 3 or 4 drinks and the person that drove had 2 or 3. So let's do the maths on that. I had 3 or 4 and the person that drove had 2 or 3. The math ain't math in there. But I was on standard grade maths and this made perfect sense at the time. The most sober person drove and no one went to prison. And there he was waiting, the prettiest creature on earth, early cash up with his bags in his hand and a smile so big that it ate the sky and the stars and it just spat it out in his eyes. And I got the biggest bear hug and I got laughed at because I was a little drunk. And we left and he had dropped a whole bunch of acid. And then he climbed in the car and he smoked an acid-laced joint. And he just assumed I'd be cool with it. Because I'd drive to hell for him. Don't pay the ferryman, Michelle. Don't cross the river Styx. But it was too late. I was already in the underworld. I didn't know that you could lace acid into hash. I didn't know a lot of things until I met him. I didn't know that you shouldn't put liquid ecstasy into water and leave it around your apartment because your roommates are going to drink it and then not be able to go to class because they're fucked off their faces because they thought they were drinking water. I also didn't know you could get ecstasy in liquid form. Bucket bongs, super cheap to make, super easy to hide, quick to dispose of. Not like the fancy glass ones that people show off with now. Because weed is more legal. I think Hunter Kennedy says so. I also didn't know acid came in sheets of paper. Kind of like this. So cute. So when there was a stack of this stuff like this and I touched it and he lost his fucking mind, I didn't know what it was. It was like drug school. I did none of them, but I let him deal all of them and I let him do most of them. But anyway, time jump, back to the party. He just rolls in like Mick fucking Jagger, wrecked. And he runs the room effortlessly. Acid lets you do you, boo. So I do me and mine. And the night goes nearly truthfully. But we were all liars, even then. He would come in for these deep hugs and then suddenly give me this like really big kiss on the mouth and it's all these mixed signals. But it's not mixed signals because he's dropped all this acid. But I don't understand how these things work because I think you work hard and you play hard and maybe you have some Southern Comfort and lime and grow your hair really long and pretend you're Janis Joplin. Naive, spelled Naive, naive. Hours later, it's a wrap. My 2 lesbian roommates have things to eat. And they go to bed and we greet the rest of the guests and everyone goes to sleep. And we got a few crashes, always got a few crashes. And he's one of them. And I get some pillows and I get some blankets because he's going to go and sleep in the Christmas lounge. Do people still do that, Christmas beds? Is that still a thing? Anyway, we hug and we say how much fun we had. And he kisses my forehead like I'm 5. And we say, good night, good night, good night. And he goes to the Christmas lounge and I go to my room. And I close my bedroom door, leaning against it. And I put on my decent pajamas. But I leave my makeup on because I don't want to like go to the toilet and run into him with my real face. We can deal with like raccoon Alice Cooper, Michelle, a few hours from now, like in the morning, and laugh about it. But now things are still feeling oh so serious. I lie down and there's a knock on the door. He's calling my name. I rush. I don't want the angry lesbians to wake up. Angry lesbians are tough to deal with. Okay? I don't mean to offend anyone, but if they're busy and you disturb them, they will kill you. Facts. I've watched enough true crime. I open the door and I'm asking, is everything okay? Do you need something? Is something missing? I don't know. Did he lose his liquid E? I'm actually just scared he wants to leave. Knowing he's there is just like exciting to me. I need you, he says. It's just the drugs talking. So naive, so stupid. I swallow my heart. Will you tell me a story till I fall asleep? What's a cock? Jesus, I need to be up at 7. Please, Mishi. Those green eyes. And I'd drive to hell for you. So I let him in. And I don't have a lot of regrets because, I don't know, maybe some people watch the new Ballade Verenkling or the really old one. And he says, the one character, when he dink nie, do net. And I've tried to live my life like that. So you don't have regrets. Only regret the things you didn't do. Right. But I genuinely regret this. I should never have done that. And I could have spared myself 24 years of scars and pain. Because I don't think he gives 2 flying fucks about what happened. And he never gives it a thought. But I'm sitting here trying not to cry 4 urinals in. Legit 4. My psychiatrist right now is shitting himself. He's not going to watch this. It's fine. He thinks the internet is crap. So I start telling him a story. It's a story about a blue boy with a blue life and his blue mountains and his blue house and his blue blah, 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 blah. Who cares? I'm not going to go into graphic detail because it seems kind of sacrilegious. But I will say we were intimate. But I did ask him one thing, to keep his eyes open during orgasm, which seems kind of bizarre. But to see green eyes change color is like watching God create a universe. So close to God creating a universe, multiple Milky Ways. It's colors you can't imagine of God. We time jump a couple of months and we have so much fun and so many misunderstandings. It's almost like a real relationship. I kid you not. He accuses me of wearing his t-shirts because I treat him like a trophy. I tell him he makes me feel like a wallet with a car and ears. He says I treat him like a pet and make him feel like a dog. And I say he constantly makes me feel ugly, fat, and like shit. And he says, I'm his mother. I want to be his mother. Says Orestes, the king of Sparta, who killed Clytemnestra. Rather ominous, don't you think? We have this one fight. We go and watch a movie. I cannot tell you what it was. I have no idea. It feels like it should have been Natural Born Killers, but that came out in 1994. And then he's like, he's just going to go have a quick cigarette, a Camel Mild. But he's gone for 45 fucking minutes that I'm sitting in Brooklyn Mall's Mug and Bean waiting for him. I'm so angry. And I say to him, you make me. And he takes my hand and he says to me, you make me feel like dancing. And he lifts me out of the chair and he spins me around and he dips me and he kisses me so that everyone in the Mug and Bean claps for us. I mean, that is cult level manipulation. I honestly think he could have ran a cult. But in that moment, it was like being in a movie. It was perfect. I would forgive him anything. This whole epic mess, glorious decay, lasts around 6 months. You think I was going to say like 2 years or something? It's quick. Over. But just enough time for me to get pregnant. Because all caution flies out the door when universes are being made, guys. I love his ideas. I love his thoughts. I love his art. I love his mind. I love his voice. I love him with my eyes closed, but he never believes me because even beautiful people are insecure and hurt people, but broken people break people. Remember that. And I have really long hair like I have now, and I would wash him with my fucking hair. Like Mary Magdalene and Jesus. It was crazy. He would go to class with me, and I studied radio at the time, and he would go to recordings with me, and he would just lie at my feet. I would brush his hair. I would wash his hands. I would bath him. And I did movement. I did a lot of dancing. I went to gym all the time. So I was really strong, and I would pick him up out of the bath and hold him like we were the image of Michelangelo's Pieta. He would sleep in my arms, and I would stay awake for hours and hours like he was a celestial being that was going to disappear. And he also did drugs. He did so much fucking drugs, and he took my money and he bought drugs and dealt drugs with my car that was in my father's name. So if he got pulled over, the level of consequences of shit for my life was just immeasurable. But I would drive to hell for him. Let him sell my soul if that's what he needed. And when he went out and I was at a rehearsal or at a shoot or at a recording, he would sleep with other people and then blame me. Because he would say, I wasn't there, and he has needs, and he has things that he has to get out of his system, because even his body is a work of art. And that made perfect sense, right? Doesn't it make perfect sense that it would be my fault? And I don't know I'm pregnant. I just want to make this super clear. So I'm having Southern Comforts and limes to feel better. I am smoking, chain smoking 20 to 60 cigarettes a day because I'm so stressed. Is he coming? Is he going? What's he doing? I don't know. And I'm studying and working. We're still working at Look and Listen during this entire film called Hellraiser. Anyone seen that? It's like Pinhead is running the show at this point. I would just stay awake to watch him sleep because he was so beautiful, so peaceful. It was just insanity. This is what it is. I don't actually know anymore if it was love. Maybe it was limerence. You can look that up. It's bizarre. It's convoluted. It's a Kubrick film, eyes wide open. And Hans Zimmer is doing the music design, and the notes are so complex, I can't grasp them. It's an angst brigade, and I can't breathe without him and his camomiles. So on the 15th of October, I feel terrible. And anyone that knew me, I could be like puking blood and my ear would have fallen off. And I would go to class. I would be there. I'd be there at 7 o'clock in the morning. It didn't matter. I performed on a broken foot. It didn't matter. I was there, but I felt not good. So I don't go in. And people were reliant on me because back then, not a lot of people had cars and not a lot of people had cell phones. And I just said everyone had to make a fucking plan to get to work, and I fucking planned to get to university because I was not playing that day. So someone fetched him and the angry lesbians, and off they went. And 2 hours later, everything in my life is covered in blood. And I don't know what the fuck is going on, but I had to call the one person that I knew would never forgive me, my mother. And she didn't. Slut. But she came and we cleaned and we went to the emergency room. And the next day, I had a D&C and they asked me if I wanted to know the gender. How kind of them. And my son would have been 24. Anyway, I was just fucked up. And he didn't understand. He didn't understand why I was so mad. I was so mad. And I was bad. And I was sad. Because I didn't feel like dancing. But I tried. I tried to laugh. I tried. Because I pulled myself together and I went back into rehearsal and I went back into show mode. And we were driving to one of my exams that he had agreed to do some voice and animation for. And he very casually informed me that relationship would now be open. He would be sleeping with other people, but I needed to be calm because he'd still come home, which just meant that he'd be using my car and spending my money. And I absolutely lost my shit with him. And he was like, but I'm still coming home. As if he was paying rent. Never. Let me just tell you, not a rand. Not a rand with Nelson Mandela's face on. Not one. All right. So I lose my shit with him and I blurt out about the baby, which I have not said a word about in 6 weeks. And he stops the car, he pulls over, and he gets out, and he says, "Bet you killed my baby." And he walks out of my life. Because in his mind, I had an abortion, and he would never let me explain. And there's a line from a song from a great band, Silverchair, called "I Miss You." And it says, "I love the way you love, but I hate the way I'm supposed to love you back." And then they made this really cool movie, He's Just Not That Into You. And it took me a real long time to understand that. He was never into me. He was into what I could provide. Bed and breakfast. That was Orestes, the great king of Sparta. And he killed me. And I was never the same. And I can ramble on about the next 3 years of shit that he would intermittently come and put me through. One of the highlights, he takes my windscreen wipers and bends them into a shape of the heart. The insurance loves shit like that. Or when he smashed my window out and left me a picture that he drew in his own blood. That was fun because he loved to torture me with shit like that. Just leave me alone. Anyway, I don't want to build a house where it hurts. I spent enough time there. I camped there a lot. And this is the thing about pain. You can camp, but when you start digging foundations and building yourself a house, you're in for shit. All right. Don't dig foundations. It is what it is, was what it was. But it still burns. 3rd-degree scars for love in the 1st degree. But was it worth it, is what you're asking. Was it worth it? Everything I just said as I'm holding back the tears. I can still smell them in the quiet places and in the loud explosions. And yes, it was all fucking worth it. Every goddamn moment. I have a beautiful life now. I have a picture book life. And this is the thing about picture books, even Little Red Riding Hood, right? Not every picture is great. The picture of the wolf is a little scary. And there are parts of the stories that aren't perfect. But I have a really beautiful life. But if he calls and says, Do you feel like dancing? I don't know what I do. Now, after this level of distraction, you really need friends. You really need your friends. And mine, they stepped up the 2 handfuls that I had. And they are special specimens, organisms to have in your ecosystem, friends. And when you get to my age, you're lucky to have 3, 4, or 5. And I still have some of those friends from back then now that still carry me. Not like I'm a trophy, but like I'm a Fabergé egg. Something important, something he never did. But there was a time in my life when I had just one, my first friend. And I want you to hold on for that story if you would. First friend with Michelle.
Firsts with Michelle Aiden.